capital city of the Netherlands. What better way to experience this compact and very international city than from the unique perspective of its waterways? There certainly are a lot of them. This city has over 100 kilometers of canal. Amsterdam is known for being friendly, open-minded, and progressive. It's a popular place to visit and do business. Just think, in a population of only 800,000 people, you can meet 170 different nationalities.
This area's rich history adds a sparkle that's never far below the surface. During the 17th century, Amsterdam shone especially bright, like gold. This golden age was an extraordinary time. Politics, art, and business all reached new levels of sophistication. Dutch shipbuilders revolutionized sailing. Amsterdam boasted a thriving stock exchange, and painters like Rembrandt and Vermeer produced remarkable art.
Central Station, the transportation hub of Amsterdam, is built on 3 artificial islands and is supported by around 8,600 wooden piles. The building was designed by 2 architects, Kuipers and Van Gent, and its front is really quite amazing. Made of red brick and white accents, it's a combination of Neo-Renaissance style and Neo-Gothic towers, and is called eclectical architecture.
The Amsterdam harbor is the second largest harbor of the Netherlands. After the Second World War, the main harbor activities were moved to the western part of the city. But you'll still see a variety of water traffic here, including barges, riverboats, and cruise ships. Riverboats are often docked in the harbor. These long, flat tourist boats sail to the east, to the Rhine River in Germany. You can also frequently see huge cruise ships in Amsterdam's harbor. They come from all over the world, entering the harbor through the North Sea Canal. Look for the Overhoek's Tower. It has 4 giant shells in the square of its roof, and its top is shaped like a drill. It also has an observation deck, where you can take in panoramic views of the harbor. The Overhoek's Tower is part of the Overhoek's neighborhood, a new addition to the city that includes places to live, work, and kick back and recreate. Amsterdammers get across the A using blue and white ferry boats which shuttle not only people, but also their bikes back and forth, for free. But it's not the only way. Got a car? You can drive from the city center over to North Amsterdam through the A tunnel, which runs under the lake. Many types of transportation converge here at the harbor. Boats, buses, streetcars, trains. You can see the backside of Central Station, Amsterdam's train station and gateway to the city. Thousands of regional and international trains come and go through this major transportation hub.
Central Station, the transportation hub of Amsterdam, is built on 3 artificial islands and is supported by around 8,600 wooden piles. The building was designed by 2 architects, Kuipers and Van Gent, and its front is really quite amazing. Made of red brick and white accents, it's a combination of Neo-Renaissance style and Neo-Gothic towers, and is called eclectical architecture.
We are now in the Oosterdock, or East Harbor. It was constructed at the beginning of the 19th century. The tall, green ship-like building is NEMO, the Children's Center for Science and Technology. With lots of interactive exhibits, it's a popular place for families. As much as it looks like a ship, that wasn't the original intention. The famous Italian architect, Renzo Piano, designed NEMO as an inverse reflection of the Erie Tunnel, which runs beneath it. The building's height equals the depth of the tunnel. NEMO gets its green color from the oxidated copper that covers its walls. There's a unique sand-filled terrace on the roof where you'll find sunbathers searching for rays while enjoying beautiful views of the harbor and the city.
So on the left you see NEMO, it's a science museum for children. On the right hand side you see Booking.com. This building is built in 2019. And during the pandemic everybody had to work from home. So Booking.com sold their own office to the German bank, the Deka Bank. The Deka Bank paid 560 million euros for the building. But after the pandemic, everybody started working from the office again. So Booking.com is renting his own office back from the German bank, the Deka Bank. They paid 3 million euros a month and signed a longer term contract of 20 years. Good deal. The building is built with 6 million kilos of steel. That's the same amount of steel to build the Eiffel Tower. The working space is 65,000 square meters, and inside the office you also can find 3 restaurants. The architect is Ben van Merkel. On the roof they installed 1500 solar panels. Also you see the 3 red letters OPA. That's the largest library in the Netherlands. We call it also the building of knowledge. And also in the library on the top floor there is a self-service restaurant, so you can have a nice view over the city if you're eating there. Also you see a Chinese floating restaurant named Sea Palace. This is a replica from the one you can find in Hong Kong named Golden Jumbo. It is the largest Chinese restaurant here in Amsterdam in number of seats. 600 seats in total. A little bit harder to see, but during the day you can see it better. Maybe you can walk tomorrow to the ship. It's an old sail ship. You see 3 masts. That's an old sail ship from the 17th centuries. A ship model like that one moves in the 17th centuries to Batavia, nowadays called Jakarta, to import porcelain, silk, spices, tea and a lot of other products. 2,000 ships are built, 750 ships never returned back. Reasons can be pirates, war or diseases on board. Back in the days, those old sail ships arrived here in Amsterdam with a lot of products. Those products we left over to small boats. All the small boats sails into the canal of Amsterdam, and then they store all the goods in warehouses. And then we wait, the price went up, and then we sold everything to Germany. We called it the Golden Age. But also some sail ships arrived here with valuable goods. They sailed directly to the palace on the Dam Square. Back in the days there was a large canal what was ending on the Dam Square. The white building is the Maritime Museum. There you can see some old ship models they used in that time, navigation instruments they used. In a moment we will enter the canal system of Amsterdam. The water level in the canal system is 3 meters deep. Can you swim in this water? Yes. Every year we organize, in the summer, we organize the Amsterdam City Swim. During this edition we had a special guest. Her name is Maxima Sorregeta. She's from Argentina and she's married with our King Willem Alexander.
now traveling along what was once the outer defense wall of the city. The original city boundary was to the right, to the left, salt marsh and the North Sea. The red brick tower coming up ahead of us is the medieval Montalbaantoren. An ideal lookout for sighting potential invaders, it was built to protect the city's shipyards, wharves, and warehouses from attack. From here, Dutch soldiers armed with longbows, crossbows, and early firearms called arquebuses kept watch over the wide expanses below.
The tower's white spire and clocks were added a century later. They were designed by Hendrik de Keyser, an architect whose work can be seen around Amsterdam, and who you're certain to hear more about on this cruise. The clocks couldn't keep time, and the tower's bells rang out randomly, so locals gave it the nickname Silly Jack.
Not long after the spire and clocks were added, the tower began to list to one side. With some effort, it was pulled to right. You might be wondering why so many buildings in the city tip to one side or the other. The ground in Amsterdam, a mix of peat, sand, and soil, is very soft. Because of this, buildings were generally designed to be as light as possible. None were very tall, and they often had lots of windows. For stability, they were built on a bed of wooden piles driven as deep as 15 meters. That's 45 feet into the ground. But if these piles were exposed to the air, they began to rot, and the buildings they supported sank and shifted. Today, water levels in and around the city are carefully controlled to minimize rotting. When new piles are needed, they're made of concrete. Still, you'll see many a house with a sideways tilt.
The Montalbaantoren was a place where sailors gathered before setting out to sea. The journeys were long and difficult, and not everyone returned. Legend has it that the women who loved them also came here to say goodbye, perhaps forever.
We are now on the Eau de Champs, or Outer Trench Canal. During the 16th century, it served as a defense canal. All the city's canals served one or more of these functions, as a transportation route, a line of defense, or a way to manage water levels. The Eau de Champs, because of its size and location, did all of these. Because it was one of the only canals wide enough for large ships to sail, and because of its proximity to the harbor, the Eau de Champs became a convenient place to unload cargo.
In Amsterdam we have 2,500 houseboats. The start price to buy a houseboat here in Amsterdam starts from €500,000 to €2 million, even when the houseboat is ugly. Why is a houseboat so expensive? Because you need a permit to dock your houseboat, and there are no permits available anymore. So that's why the price is sky high. Those boats are floating and don't have an engine, and for insurance reasons the houseboats need inspection and maintenance every 3 years. In a moment we're passing the Rembrandt house. At the front of me you see a black lucky-keeper house, we will pass it in a minute. Behind it you can see the Rembrandt house. The Rembrandt house is the house with the green shutters. Coming up.
We're about to pass through one of the city's old locks. The small, tippy black building was once the lockmaster's house. It's now a pub and cafe full of 17th century charm, stone floors, wooden benches, and exposed ceiling beams. Its outdoor patio is a great place for watching boats on the canal.
On the left, the Rembrandt house with the green shutters, the green doors at the front of the window. After this bridge, ladies and gentlemen, you can see on the left square. There they organize every day the largest flea market in the Netherlands. So tomorrow you can visit the largest flea market in the Netherlands on that square after this bridge on the left. Or you walk to the Joren area tomorrow morning. You visit, you go to the Northern Church on that square, and behind all those streets and square there is a big local market. So the largest flea market on the left tomorrow. On this market you also can buy your stolen bicycle back, ladies and gentlemen.
We're now approaching the Waterloopplein. It's located adjacent to the City Hall, the large red brick building. The original Waterloopplein was an island built in the 17th century to create a space for Jewish settlers. At the time, it was called Vloeienberg, for Flooding Island. Over time, the name morphed into Vlooienberg, for Flea Island, and the bustling market held here was called the Flea Market.
For centuries, Jewish traders sold their wares here. The market continues to operate and is now known as the largest flea market in the Netherlands.
Ugly building on our left is our city hall. It's built in the 60s. A lot of people were not happy with the construction. Statue of Spinoza on the left. I turn about to the right to show you an iconic symbol of many houses here in Amsterdam. A normal canal house is built on 10 wooden pillars. Like Central Station is built on 8,600 wooden pillars. The Palace on the Dam Square is built on almost 14,000 wooden pillars. The houses I will show you, we call them the dancing houses. They're swinging from left to right. Behind the dancing houses, you can visit the Rembrandt Square. Rembrandt Square is a square where you can find clubs, discotheques, bars, restaurants, coffee shops, and a lot of other things. Left hand side. Coming up, the dancing houses. Keep your camera ready, then you can make some nice pictures for your TikTok.
Look at the group of very crooked houses. We affectionately refer to them as the dancing houses because they look like they're tilting and swaying to some happy tune. These buildings get their crazy tilts from the wooden piles that are supposed to be holding them up. The more the piles rise, the wilder the houses dance. The outward lean that you see on so many buildings is another story. It has nothing to do with rotting piles. The facades, or the faces of buildings, were intentionally built this way. In fact, a 16th century law put limits on how far a building could lean forward, lest it topple down.
We locals, we call the dancing houses also the gay houses, because they are not straight. The only one who's standing straight is the Irish pub. The Irish pub is straight. If you drink a lot of beer in the Irish pub and you came outside and the houses are straight, you're drunk. If they're still dancing, you're sober. Just a joke, eh? On the right you see another defense tower. On the right it's the main tower. It's painted by Rembrandt. Behind it you can visit the flower market. And on the left you can see in a moment the oldest Protestant church here in Amsterdam. On the left it's the Southern Church, and this church is painted by Claude Monet. On the left, coming up.
We're now on the Amstel River. The round white-faced building you see next to the City Hall is the Muziek Theater, or Music Theater. It's home to the Dutch Opera, known for its daring productions, the Holland Symphonia, and the world-renowned Dutch National Ballet. The Dutch may be known for their tolerant attitudes, but they also have strong opinions. This piece of architecture was met with heavy protests that have since simmered down. In fact, that's how it got its name, Stopera. It's derived from the movement against the construction, Stop the Opera.
Coming up, the famous bridge in Amsterdam, the Skinny Bridge. In a moment, I will turn the boat to the right, so the bridge shows up on the left.
The Magere Brug, otherwise referred to as the famous Skinny Bridge, stretches all the way across the Amstel River. Of Amsterdam's 1,500 or so bridges, this is the most famous. It dates back to the 17th century and was likely a narrow footbridge. Since then, it's been reconstructed more than once and grown wider with age. Legend has it that whoever you kiss while passing under the bridge will be your true love for life.
There are three main canals here in Amsterdam: the Princess Canal, Prinsengracht, Emperor Canal, Keizersgracht, and Gentleman's Canal, Herengracht. Now we will enter the Herengracht, the Gentleman's Canal. Back in the days here were living the richest people. People like the Lionel Messi's and the Bill Gates are living here. But also you find many companies over here. Banks, insurance companies, and lawyer companies, and other criminals.
Kom die heren maar uit hoor, ik blijf hier wel wachten.
We're now on Herengracht, or the Gentleman's Canal. It was part of a careful plan to expand the city. In the early 17th century, a time of tremendous physical and economic growth, 3 new canals were laid out in concentric rings. The Herengracht was innermost. The Keizersgracht, or Emperor's Canal, was in the middle, followed by the Prinsengracht, or the Prince's Canal.
The wealthiest citizens, shipbuilders, merchants, investors, and politicians built elegant mansions on the Herengracht. The Keizersgracht was solidly middle class, while the Prinsengracht had a more industrial atmosphere. Of the three canals, the Prinsengracht was the only one that connected directly to the harbor, and its low sides were designed for loading and unloading cargo.
And so, the farther you lived from the city center, the lower your social class. Today, this would no longer hold true. All of the city center is expensive.
On the left, the 5-star hotel, Waldorf Astoria. In Amsterdam we have 60 5-star hotels.
Get your camera ready. We're about to pass by one of the most photographed views in Amsterdam. The 7 arched bridges over Reguliersgracht or Reguliers Canal. This beautiful and unique view of all 7 bridges at once can only be seen from here on waters of the Herengracht. Our kind captain will be slowing down to give everyone a chance to catch a photo of this unique site.
7座桥。 我有一张好的。
While nobles ruled elsewhere in Europe, here in Amsterdam, it was the self-made merchants. During the 17th century, they were earning as much as 700,000 euros a month. That's more than the average rich person earns today. The wealthiest of the wealthy lived here, on the Herengracht.
Today, almost all of these mansions are used for business, as people can no longer afford to live in them. An exception is the city's mayor, whose official residence is at number 502 Herengracht. Look for the great facade with white columns just before the bridge.
The golden age of the 17th century was a stellar time for Amsterdam. From politics and the economy to arts and science, everything flourished. And the city was now the most important trade center in Europe. There are many reasons for Amsterdam's astounding success. It had the largest and most progressive shipbuilding industry in Europe. Dutch traders sailed farther than anyone else to newly discovered lands in the Far East and to North and South America. They organized into companies like the Dutch East Indian Company and the Dutch West Indian Company. And the profits from trading staples like grain and exotics such as spices, porcelain, precious stones, and textiles were enormous.
Now let's slip back in time to the 17th century. Imagine a colorful scene. Gentlemen in fine clothing on the street, speaking different languages. Elegantly outfitted ladies stepping down into horse-pulled carriages. The clatter of wheels on cobblestones. And dare we mention it, an unpleasant waft of sewage coming from the canal.
Building restrictions limited houses to a width of no more than 6 meters, or 18 feet. But those who could afford got around this by buying 2 adjacent lots and building a double house. Some of these double homes even had 2 different facades. There was no restriction on depth, and with 20 to 40 rooms, a large private garden, and a coach house behind that, mansions often stretched all the way over to the next street.
We're now at the so-called Golden Bend of the Herrengracht, the most lavish section of all. Imagine going into one of these sumptuous homes. On the first floor, an elegant entrance hall with marble floors, high ceilings, and chandeliers. Mirrors were strategically positioned to create an illusion of even more space. And single-lot houses would often have a fake door on the side of the entryway to make them appear bigger than they were.
Rooms were richly decorated with painted wallpaper, oil paintings, fine sculptures, and exotics such as Turkish rugs and Persian silks. In the second half of the 17th century, Parisian furniture, Louis XVI style, was very much in vogue.
As a gentleman, you might join your host in a deep-colored smoking room. A lady, your hostess would receive you in a light blue salon or tea room. Here, you'd sip imported tea from China while looking out over a beautifully manicured garden. Musical concerts and grand parties were common, and each house had many rooms dedicated to entertaining. For a first-hand glimpse of life inside an opulent canal house, there are two wonderful museums in the area, the Hilvig in Lopenhaus and the Willet Holthausen.
Ja, bedankt.
Dankjewel voor de